I was in an intimate relationship with my abuser for several years. When we first met, he was taking several trips to Mexico to train to become a shaman. Our relationship was passionate, but was deeply unsafe and escalated over the years. When we first started dating, he was on felony probation for domestic abuse with his ex-wife, but continuously denied any wrongdoing. He constantly created a narrative that he was a victim and that she was trying to hurt him. He was very active about promoting himself on social media, telling people how amazing he was as a shaman, and how he's a great family man and loved Hisson and being a father. Behind closed doors he was verbally and emotionally abusive towards me and constantly was berating me. Looking back, I now can identify this as narcissistic abuse. Following an intense ayahuasca ceremony last spring, he was in a very dysregulated and ungrounded state and was lacking integration. He became aggressive and verbally coercive towards me, and I was becoming unstable as a result of him emotionally abusing me. I had a history of self-harm behavior in me past, and he was verbally encouraging me to engage in self-harm behavior and telling me that I was strong enough to follow through. I was afraid to speak up and reach out for help because he was highly regarded in our community and didn't think anyone would believe me if I told them what was saying or how he was acting towards me behind closed doors. We had an upcoming ceremony planned to co-facilitate, and I was very concerned about his mental state and ability to hold space and serve medicine. On the day of my assault, we were co-facilitating for a couple in a medicine ceremony. During the ceremony, the woman looks at me and tells me that she wishes for a sacred union that is spiritually connected like the one my abuser and I had. I felt terrible since I was suffering so much on the inside and that I was hiding the abuse. Once the ceremony finished and the couple left, I felt a calling to do personal work with the medicine. I asked my partner to hold space for me because I was struggling with fear and feeling like I was walking on eggshells. I verbalized my intention to him and stated that I wanted clarity and strength to find a path forward. He listened and agreed that he was able to serve me with this intention. He left to prepare the medicine and I trusted him to dose me correctly. He served me twice and the second dose was much stronger than I anticipated. After the second dose, I completely wiped out. I have no memory of the experience. As I was coming back into awareness, I was naked, on my back, and he was sexually assaulting me while I was unconscious. I come to slightly and begin to open my eyes. I feel our prayer necklaces intertwined and hitting my chest. I push him off me and move away from him. He approaches me and begs to continue, stating, "I was so close. I just need offnish." I didn't know what to do as he harassed me or if he would become violent or aggressive. I was frozen, so I just gave in. I felt so violated and I completely disassociated. I didn't have the capacity to cry. I was in utter disbelief that he could violate me in such a way in such a sacred space. After we packed up, we had a mile walk back to our car and we walked in silence. The whole time I was trying to figure out how it was my fault. I was in disbelief. How could he not understand that I was asking him to protect me? He noticed that I was being quiet and kept asking what was wrong, as if he didn't even realize that he raped me, while I was unconscious, in a sacred ceremony. Afterwards, it took me a few weeks to plan how I was going to leave. He had recently gotten permission to have his son visit from out of state and he was gone for a few days to get his son and back to our home. Once he returned, I confronted him about the sexual assault and asked him why he violated and raped me in ceremony. He laughed at me and told me it was his right to have sex with me whenever he wanted and that I belonged to him. I knew that I had to get away from him as soon as possible. At the time, we were staying at my father's house with my son Age and his sonage. I called my father the following day. He came over and told my abuser that he could no longer live at the house. We notified his felony probation officer that he was no longer living with you and we were kicking him out of his house. We offered to let his son stay with us for a few days because he was reporting that he was mentally unstable and stressed out. That weekend, my father Andy took the boys on a trip and while we were out off town, my abuser had broken into my home and video called me while he was lying naked on my bed. In the following weeks, my abuser stalked me. I found handwritten notes in the bushes around my home, leaving me messages that he is doing black magic to stay connected to me and engaging in masturbation to her picture every day. I'm working a lot of magic on you. I'm creating a strong energetic bond from my heart to your heart. I work sex magic while watching our pictures and video, and when I come I can feel our connection get stronger. I went into hiding and had to move from several Airbnbs and temporary rentals to hide from him for 4 months while I was fearing for my life and safety. He has admitted to raping me in ceremony in a handwritten letter left at my house. When he couldn't FND me, he began posting naked pictures of me on social media without my consent and began sending private pictures of me to others. When I came forward with my story of abuse, the community backlash I experienced of people defending him and telling me that I was trying to destroy his life. He began working in the medicine space to try to psychically, spiritually attack me. I had people telling me that he was using voodoo dolls to try to attack me and coercing groups of people to engage in dark magic against me. I was in such fear that I was unable to go to the grocery store, unable to leave my house. I had night terrors for months. I have taken steps to file an injunction against him on cyber-stalking claims. It was reviewed by a judge and I was granted a multi-year restraining order against her attacker in year. I have been working on healing myself after months of abuse, violence and stalking. I've begun to get the strength to tell my story. I'm grateful for the continued support that I am able to give to create trauma-informed safe containers. I am focused in doing the work and helping to protect others. He is currently serving 7 years probation for domestic violence, strangulation against his ex-wife. He is currently still serving medicine and claiming to be a healer and shaman. I hope that people will do background checks on facilitators before they choose to work with them.